Thanks, Joy, and thanks to Kaho for putting this up. I think I am the odd man out in the whole thing because I'm not going to talk about operations, but more about how hospital planning and architecture can play a role, and what are the deficiencies that we are seeing now. So I've had some experience of existing hospitals like yourselves, or say Jaslok, which is an old hospital again. Most of these hospitals probably are facing the heat from the angle that when they were designed, they were probably not attuned to the spaces which we now generally keep, say the corridor widths or the daycare spaces for hospitals. So waiting, I think, is becoming a problem in most of these hospitals. There is no space, and you need to keep social distancing. So I think the thumb rule norm nowadays we tell is about 800 to 1,000 square feet per bed, whereas the older hospitals are having a area of maybe 400, 500, maybe 600, and nursing homes are even lower than that. So in smaller towns, when you build a 50-bed hospital, you have hardly any maneuvering space for waiting and other things. So that is one of the issues that we are going to see. Most importantly, actually, no hospital was planned for infectious diseases. There are probably in every city couple of hospitals, mostly managed by the government, which are for infectious disease. Suddenly, from a technology centric healthcare, we are facing a problem of giving basic healthcare like isolation, like quarantine. We are not prepared because we never thought that something like this will come up. So this is a low technology kind of a solution that every hospital is now looking at. So the future, when you are looking at hospitals, you will need to be more flexible in your design. So that starts right from the column grid. So we generally will now have to plan for a larger column grid, which is able to take a intensive care unit, which is able to convert very quickly into an isolation ward. Okay, so that is the one major thing. So 8 feet to 8 meters to 9 meters is a good column grid to go with. I think future hospitals will have that kind of thing. Waiting areas will go up, because we have felt that we don't have enough waiting spaces. There will be emphasis on less touch or no touch kind of either technology or usage of design principles to do that. For example, most of these electronics that you have in a hospital, and you could see that in Rumnangarh Hospital in Bangkok, where most of the electrical instruments are monitored by a remote control device which is in the hand of the patient. So you are not touching the plug points and the switches inside the room. Even the handles of the doors probably will be now more foot operated if they can. So there are you can open and close a door through a foot operated. So a lot of furniture ergonomics are going to undertake a lot of changes. uh, you will also need to concentrate more on the airflow and the air control, the indoor air quality. So when we had visited Seven Hills hospitals with a view of ramping it up to a 1,500-bed facility, we suddenly realized that they didn't have negative pressured room. And then when Dr. Tarang came from Pakistan Hospital, she insisted that she would need that 30, 40 rooms that she's going to use with that kind of technology. And I think, many other hospitals are now converting some of the rooms into negative isolation, because you need three types of patients to be monitored. One, that you need to be quarantined, like, Mr. Pardesi said in the beginning. You could convert a stadia or an exhibition hall and you can put them in. They don't need to be looked after, very aggressively. Then comes the positive, the isolation, for positive cases. This needs, negative pressured air, where it need not be air conditioned. So, it is not for current scenario, it need not be air conditioned. For future hospital, it should be. What is the principle? That you are throwing out more air than what you are taking in. So just by exhausting, air system, you can convert a positive, convert any room into a negative, kind of area. But most importantly, most of these beds will need oxygen supply. So that is going to be, currently, if you go to general wards in many hospitals, people tend to put one oxygen point between two beds. I think in future that is going to change, because you will need this You will also probably think of doing a line of, oxygen in areas which you probably never thought of. I mean, something like a parking lot, which needs to be converted into an isolation ward very quickly. You just have to run a line, and you can. The plant size probably will undergo a change. So we had done this again in Seven Hills when we were looking at ramping up. This was one of the key elements that came to fore, that you need to do this very quickly, because 80% of the cases which get better would need oxygen supply support. And COVID-19 is not going too soon. Even after you get a vaccine, it probably will come up with COVID 20 or 21. So we need to be prepared for things like that. Most of the furniture items or the surfaces of walls or the flooring, you will need to use material which is sanitizable, or which can be cleaned with a wet mop. Okay, so very soon you will see curtains will go out of wood. You will see that all tapestry of sofas and everything will be something which you can clean, with otherwise those are useless, because it will take either dust or virus, you can't remove them. So that is another thing which will change. The one more thing which I can see happening is, we in India, though we are capable, and I think most of the IITs are now working towards that, how you can bring in robots to deliver the hospitality part of healthcare. So suppose I am taking a lunch or a breakfast tray, or I am just delivering some medicine and just giving it to, how can I use that? That's I had a friend, a pilot in Air India, who was admitted as in a hospital in Bombay, and the ward boy was very hesitant to even hand over. He was throwing the medicine and other supplies to him. So that kind of a fear that has set into people's mind probably will go better with, if you take a robo, and so that is going to come up, whether and it will be successful. Waste management systems. I mean, the number of PPE that we are using today, how do you get rid of that? Maybe some of the panelists can share their experiences. CMC Vellore probably would have, Dr. from Orissa would also have PPEs in large numbers, and how to do away with it. So that will be another issue, waste management. I think you will see more and more of virtual healthcare in the future. So all hospitals will set up this telehealth solution within their system. I think Narayana has been doing that for quite some time. Apollo has a separate unit which does that. But I think most hospitals now will use this. I think Hinduja Joy has done very well with teleconsulting, but this has come to stay. This is not going to go. The other thing which hospitals will look at, it's not a design solution, but it would be home health care, because a lot of patients will not want to come in. So I was seeing some WhatsApp video clip from Israel, where doctors were monitoring patients, and very simple gadgetry, with a pulse oximeter, thermometer, and there is a cardiac stethoscope kind of thing, and they were monitoring from from their control command center. So that kind of thing is going to come. I think overall, when you will look at it, there would be, from a government angle, government had till now, and not only in India, because even the best of the countries where healthcare is supposed to be best, have suffered the most, be it Spain, be it Italy, be it United States, be it the NHS system of UK. So we that way have been a little lucky, because of the earliness of lockdown probably worked in our favor. But the urban health system, you are going to see a sea change, and not only urban healthcare, it will also be government spend on healthcare, creation of healthcare facilities, which they were earlier shying away from, probably will now come to the fore, and you may not have very high-tech, high-technology hospitals, but you would need probably hospitals which will work in a pandemic kind of a situation, because technology can be plugged in. But when you create an infrastructure, of a hospital, you cannot do that, because it takes a lot of other things. You need water supply, you need sewage systems, you need air conditioning systems, so it's quite expensive to do that. How governments respond globally, we'll have to be wait and see, wait and watch whether government now spends more money, and takes it upon itself, or it still pushes private sector, because private sector, unfortunately, has faced the brunt of this pandemic, though they are willing to support, but they're not probably geared to, do that, because very quickly, their employees get infected and the hospitals almost get, shut down. So in those kind of situation, I think the Zydus Hospital in Gujarat, or I think Apollo also in Delhi, have done this, what do you use, those porta cabin kind of a system outside of the hospital in their campuses, so that these patients get treated outward and not inward. So the inside hospitals probably, so mobile healthcare, what our government is also doing with Indian Railways, that it is better and easier to take a railway network to a remote village where you cannot create a hospital in short term. So that's a very brilliant idea. So similarly, we will probably have to have these fallback measures of, porta cabin convertible into isolation rooms, or mobile healthcare, or tented systems, which we are working with the army in Saudi Arabia, where to create a tented hospital in about 7 days time. So these kind of, solutions probably will need to be thought of and kept ready to be executed. The other thing that probably we will also need to do is more focus on diagnostics, because I think we were lacking that when it hit us. So we only had maybe one lab in Pune, and then we started ramping up. Now, of course, there are a lot of other hospitals, and I think still private hospitals find it difficult, to get recognition for that. But I think that is something which, say the Seven Hills Hospital, when looked at that, they had to send samples to Kasturba or Haffkin. So that was not a, you need a laboratory on ground, because you are the epicenter of, so laboratories will come up. Radiology, required, because it's a lung disease. You can't, fight it without proper diagnosis. So teleradiology also, will come into play, because a lot of hospitals probably do not have the talent to diagnose also many a times, CT scans, MRIs. Bronchoscopy is something, which this, so you have had SARS, you would have MERS, and now COVID, all are lung diseases, which are there. So effort on bronchoscopy. And such rooms need some technical input in terms of the airflow and indoor air quality. You probably will also need, some emphasis on things which probably is like change rooms. For example, you don't have that many rooms in a hospital. So when you are, say, converting an outpatient clinic suddenly into an isolation ward, possible to do it, but you will need change areas, waiting areas, toilets, and those kind of things. So in a hospital building of future, you would probably need to keep a service line kind of a shaft periodically, so whenever such kind of things. So in Western world, this has been done. I think Medanta, if you see that design, it's been designed like that you have kept, ducts for services, not knowing when you will need it. Okay, so these kinds of things probably are going to come in.